Ukraine's leader has denounced Russia's escalation of attacks on crowded cities as a blatant terror campaign. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden warned that if the Russian leader didn't pay a price for the invasion, the aggression would not stop with one country. Joining me in the studio now to discuss the latest on the invasion in Ukraine is our senior reporter, Edward Breslin. So, Edward, what is the latest?
Well, nobody will forgive and nobody will forget. That was the message from Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky after yesterday's bloodshed on the central square in Kharkiv, the country's second largest city, and the deadly bombing of a TV tower in the capital. He called the attack on the square frank and undisguised terror and a war crime. The conflict is entering its seventh day now, and we're hearing claims from Zelensky that 6,000 Russian troops have been killed. While in an effort to flee the violence, hundreds of thousands of people are heading to the border. We spoke to one British dentistry student, Suhail Zamir, who studies at Dnipro Medical University. He managed to make it to Poland after waiting around 24 hours on the border. He says as a foreigner, it was crucial that he left.
The reason why the foreigners had to leave earlier than the Ukrainians, because the crime is also going up. You're having even civilians, Ukrainian civilians with guns. So you can imagine what would happen if they see a foreign guy still walking around there. He's highly more vulnerable than someone from a Ukrainian because no one knows who he is.
Thanks, Edward. So the US president has dedicated much of his presidential annual State of the Union address overnight to the Russian invasion. What did he say?
Yes, that's right. There was a pretty big focus on Ukraine in Joe Biden's first State of the Union, in which he announced a ban on Russian planes in US airspace. He also said that President Putin underestimated the resolve of Ukraine's people.
Thanks, Edward. And now let's take a look at one man's story who travelled the opposite way that everyone is going. Ian Omni made a journey of more than 1,700 miles to be with his wife and 2-year-old son in Ukraine. The 28-year-old has become an online sensation since the beginning of his trek, with nearly 200,000 people subscribing to his TikTok page, where he documented his travels. Our senior journalist, Freya Chappell, has more.
Decided to take a little hold all because as a Brit going abroad, I need the most essential of things: PG tips and a cup.
The journey started in the north of England, essentials in hand, with one mission: to get his family to safety.
So I'm here at Manchester Airport, heading to the gate, and then on the flight into Krakow. So the next update that I want to do is when hopefully if I can get into Krakow.
Ian is a cybersecurity worker living in London and has taken the last 4 days to make the journey, first flying to Krakow in Poland.
So I'm just at the airport in Krakow. There's a train going to the city centre. Next stop will be border. Stay in touch. Slava Ukraine.
Then we received word he'd made it into Ukraine.
So I just want to give a quick update. I've had a few people asking. So I made it successfully into Ukraine last night, and now we're just approaching the outskirts of Lviv.
And then it was game on to get to his wife's home.
So I had quite a turbulent morning, with trains being delayed and not being here, but now I'm on the train. It's an overnight train, so it will take all night. I should be in my wife's city within 12 hours.
Finally, we received this. Ian says he held his son and wept into his wife's shoulder, finding them safe and well.
Guys, I made it. Yeah, it's been a long time, but I'm finally here. This place is empty because I have to secure it for us. I have to tape the windows and everything.
Freya Chappell reporting there.